So we're going to talk about the transverse abdominis, or what I'm going to just keep saying is TA, because that's a really long word to keep saying. So the TA is our deepest abdominal muscle. It sits underneath our rectus abdominis, which is our six-pack abs, and then it sits underneath our external and internal obliques. Okay, so those side muscles, and pretty much everything in between. It's the deepest muscle. So if you're a weightlifter, you can think of it as like your internal weight belt. If you're from the Victorian England, I guess you can think of it as a corset. Either or, that's what the muscle is. So it's this deep abdominal muscle that essentially connects the upper body and the lower body, kind of bridging that gap. And so it's really important to be able to maintain pressure through here. More often than not, it's not necessarily taught, so let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about it from the front first so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna lay down and we'll talk you through the kind of the first steps. So the way that we'll think about it is taking those thumbs. You're gonna imagine not directly in the sides, but just a little bit out to the front. And you're gonna think about pushing in, and you're gonna try and push in between the hips and the ribs. Okay, so somewhere roughly around there. So from here, we'll lay it on down. So you just wanna have a nice flat back and keep those knees bent, feet flat. Doesn't necessarily matter where you are, just something that's comfortable and you don't have to really work too hard to maintain. So we'll find that same position that we were just showing earlier. So taking those thumbs and kind of pushing into your stomach just a little bit. And then all we're gonna do is cough. So if you did that right, you should be able to feel almost this pressure kind of push out against your thumbs. So we're gonna do that again so you can feel it one more time and cough. You should be able to feel it. And if you're watching, you should be able to see it too. So the next thing that we wanna try and think about, and where we really begin the practice, is trying to hold or maintain that pressure, right, or an isometric. So you're gonna think about that cough again, and right before the air is about to come out, you're gonna hold it. So you're gonna go take a breath in and hold, and relax. Good. So if you did that right, you should be able to feel that pressure against your thumbs, and you should have been able to hold it. So what you needed to start doing is practicing that hold and maintain that pressure and keep that pressure. And then relax. Another good way that you can kind of tell if it's working or if you're doing this correctly is you should almost feel this like ballooning out almost from your entire midsection. So when I turn my TA on, I can even feel pressure down into the floor. You can almost feel it out to the sides, right? Almost this full circle that's kind of encapsulating my stomach. And relax. So once you feel like you got pretty good at being able to turn it on and off, then you need to start being able to practice turning it on, talking, and breathing. So maintain that tension while you're doing this, especially if you're laying down on the floor, and use the floor as a little bit of a gauge to make sure that you're feeling it from your back as well, right? The breath is a full circle, right? So once you've gotten that, then the next things that you need to start thinking about is being able to maintain that pressure kind of all the time. So what I like to think about is from a seated position, a kneeling position, standing position, and then eventually walking around. So you should be able to turn that thing on and move about your day. Sit down, stand up, walk, exist, okay? Once you get really good at this, and you can turn it on, you know it's on, you don't really even have to question it anymore, then you can start playing with different exercises that are gonna start to tax it just a little bit more and really stress and strain your ability to, can you maintain tension? So that'll be something like squatting, deadlifting, any sort of weightlifting that you're gonna be doing requires this to be functioning and functioning very well. If you suffer from back pain in any way, more often than not, you can find that this can help kind of mitigate some of that pain. Amongst other things, this isn't an endorsement, go see a doctor, go talk to a physical therapist, recommend those people first to really make sure you know what's going on. But regardless of whatever it is, this is a good way to begin kind of just strengthening your trunk, your core, whatever you want to call it, those abs, if you will. And that's pretty much it. So get really good at this, right? Make sure you can practice it, make sure you can do everything that we were just talking about, and then start putting it into practice with fitness.